What's up? Today I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite albums of 2024. Let's get it started at number 10 with Grief by Zeal and Ardor. While it wasn't quite as good as their self-titled album that came out a few years ago, Grief is definitely solid. It's a little more versatile than their last album, not quite as heavy, but definitely some good tracks on there. Okay, coming in at number 9, I had Bork Nagar, Fall. Now, this album kind of got me into the band. I picked up on it early in the year, kind of when it first came out, and went back to it a few different times. My favorite track on it is probably Moon. Moon is a really great kind of melodic track, but it's got some heavier stuff on there as well. They're from Norway. Definitely a very cool band. They've been around since 1995, so definitely check them out if you have not. Coming in at number 8, the new band that I had not heard of before this album. This came up in my recommendations, and it's In Vain. The album is called Solemn, and they're another Norwegian death metal band, but this album had all that groove I was looking for, like that, classic melodic death metal groove. The guitar riffs are freaking banging, and some really nice clean vocals on it as well. So if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. All right, moving on. Number 7, Tribulation, Sub Rosa in Eternium. These guys are from Sweden. Been around a long time, since 2005. They kind of used to be this straight up death metal band. Now they're kind of turned into more of a gothic rock band, and I really dig what they did with this album. It's got that, brooding, dark sound to it. If you like bands like Typo Negative and that kind of thing, you'll definitely be into this. And it just has some really catchy tracks on it. Murder in Red. I kept going back to this album over and over again because there was so many. Hungry Waters is another track on there that really got me. But anyway, the riffs, the vocals, everything will keep you coming back on that one. All right, moving on. Number 6. This is a band we all know and love. Well, maybe some of you don't, but I do. Always love The Offspring. I'm actually wearing their shirt right now. But anyway, The Offspring Supercharger. I thought it was a worthy kind of return to form here for The Offspring. Some nice, fast punk tracks. There's a few tracks where they kind of branched out a little bit, but turned out really great. Offspring Supercharged. Did I say Supercharger? I'm sorry, my bad. The Offspring Supercharged. Definitely feels like a supercharged album. Probably my favorite tracks on here are The Fall Guy, Hanging by a Thread, You Can't Get There From Here, and then another song, Truth in Fiction. Really great tracks, man. They just make good music. I don't care if you say, oh, they don't sound like the old Offspring or whatever. It's still really fun music. Take it for what it is. You'll enjoy the album. All right, number 5. This is a band I had not heard of before. Maybe I heard of them, but I had never sat and listened to one of their albums. And I think this is a good one to get started with this band. It's called Shining, and it's very catchy, melodic. These songs that are on here, I just kept going back to them over and over because they're so damn catchy. The title track, or the starting track for the album, is Innocence is Long Forgotten. And that one just catches you, and it just keeps going, man. This album, I can't tell you how many times I went back and listened to it, even more so than some of these albums that are up higher on the list for some reason, especially recently. So it kept moving up my top 10 as I went here, but it landed at number 5, and just so many good tracks. Innocence was long forgotten. I mean, you had the Under the Moon and Sun. Really, the whole album holds up as a whole, and that is what, to me, makes a good album. So Swallow the Sun, Shining, coming in at number 5, very solid there for a band that had not really been on my radar previous to this album. Coming in at number 4, one of my favorite bands in this genre, Evergrey, put out a new album, and it is Theories of Emptiness. While it maybe wasn't quite as good as their last album, in my opinion, definitely a solid album, coming in at number 4. So many catchy tracks. Falling from the Sun, Say, solid album all the way through. Really cool track with Jonas from, or is it Jonas, from the band Catatonia, called Cold Dreams. Definitely check this album out if you like melodic metal. All right, moving on to number 3. This is another band that I hadn't really given a chance. I had heard of them, but once this new album came out, I listened to it. I loved it. I went back and listened to all their other albums, and I really enjoy this band. Unto Others. The album's called Never Neverland. Man, what a catchy band and a catchy album. You start out with the track Butterfly, which is just it's really, in any other circles, it would be a hit song. So catchy. This band sounds like, I don't know, they're like a really fun, upbeat version of Typo Negative or something like that. I mean, they're actually from Portland, Oregon. They sound like, honestly, they're from Europe or something, but yeah, very cool band. They've been around since 2017 and been putting out bangers. All their albums are great, but this one especially, Never Neverland, such a fun album. Mama Likes the Door Closed, Suicide Today, all the tracks really are very enjoyable. Raigeki, I think it is, some Japanese word. They're Never Neverland, the title track, and then they have a bonus cover on there of Pet Cemetery, which is a great tune. So definitely check this out. It's a gothic rock, kind of like upbeat, but kind of has that darkness in its soul as well. And check that out if you have not. Coming in at number 2, probably my favorite female vocalist of any band currently doing it. It's Unleash the Archers, Phantoma. Now, this album, they kind of took what they were doing, made it even more catchy, upped the production value of it. Just an amazing album, amazing effort, and I know this band is blowing up right now. Such a great album, Phantoma, Unleash the Archers. If I had to pick a few tracks, I mean, it's wonderful all the way through, but Green and Glass is a standout track. the title track Fantoma, Ghosts in the Mist. Just so many great tracks on this one. Blood Empress. Just check it out if you like female power metal. No brainer. And coming in at number 1, I know this album. This is a band, again, I had not heard of them before this album. It came up on my recommendations. I loved it. Crypt Sermon, The Stygian Rose. I went back and listened to all their other albums. I love them. I'm wearing their hoodie. I'm wearing their shirt. Their hat. I have a shirt. I bought a bunch of merch. Actually, my wonderful woman bought me a bunch of merch because I asked for it for Christmas and got it early. But anyway, love this band. Absolutely one of the best bands I've heard in a long time. If you like old school sounding metal, there's like shades of Megadeth or old Metallica in this. The vocalist does a wonderful job. The guitar players, everything is so damn catchy on this album. I listened to this so many times and I loved it every single time. It's one of those albums you listen to from start to finish. Glimmers in the Underworld, Down in the Hollow. Thunder, Perfect Mind, Scrying Orb, Heavy as the Crown of Bone. There's so many great tracks on this album. I can't pick just one that's my favorite. The whole damn thing is my favorite, and it's the number 1 album in 2024. In my opinion, if you haven't heard Crypt Sermon, go out and listen to it. I know it made a lot of lists. It was just named number 6 on the top 25 of Metal Injection. I know it won a couple number 1 album of the year, I think Decibel, don't quote me on this, but there was a few different magazines that named it number 1 as well. So I'm not the only one who shares this opinion. Stygian Rose, Crypt Sermon, go out and listen to it. If you like metal, you'll love it. Check them out. Thank you for checking out my top 10 of 2024. Got a couple honorable mentions that almost made the list, but just fell short, but definitely still check them out. Paul Bearer, Mind Burns Alive. It's like a groove rock, Black Sabbath-y kind of feel to it, but yet it has a lot of soul in it. Check that out. Dark Tranquility, such a great band. Michael Stan, formerly of In Flames. End Time Signals is the album. Really solid melodic death metal album all the way through. Beyond the Reach of the Sun by Ancients. Great band, some really good grooves on this one. Just ultimately, it was a little too proggy and not quite catchy enough to make the list, but it's a solid album. And the last honorable mention I had was Dreamers by the band Haunt. Now this guy, I'm pretty sure he writes all the music himself, and then he just has a couple guys he performs with, but solid album as well. Catchy. They get better every album they put out, in my opinion. Anyway, thanks so much. Enjoy all the new music you just learned about. Maybe some of you guys share your opinions on these albums. Drop your top album of the year in the comments if you can. Hit that like and subscribe. Thanks so much.